Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I have everybody's favorite sports talk show host. His name is AP Steadham. AP and Kelly, that's what they're calling you now, AP and Kelly. They're forgetting the rest of it.
Well, at least they remember the beginning part, Donna. That's the most important, right? They're searching us out, so that's great. We really appreciate it. Every Friday on IC Radio, 4 p.m. Central, AP and Kelly, as we see it, we're discussing primarily the Southeastern Conference, but we talk about other teams as well, as you know.
Absolutely. Well, AP, we have a lot of texts and emails from folks who are wondering why there's a lot of weird upsets that happened this past weekend in football.
Yes, and beginning with last night, Clemson of the ACC, they're always one of the top teams contending for the national championship. And Duke, they're primarily known for their basketball, but they have a quarterback, Donna, from Alabama, Fairhope, Alabama, Riley Leonard. And he led them to a victory last night, 28-7, the night that they were honoring the 1989 ACC championship Duke team, who was coached by Steve Spurrier. So 34 years ago, they upset a top 10 team, and it took another 34 years before that happened again. And so Duke had a fabulous victory, 28-7. They had almost 200 yards rushing down at 199-98 by the quarterback Riley Leonard from Fairhope, Alabama. So Duke is looking forward to a big season. They have a chance, Donna, to maybe become 4-0 with Notre Dame, I think, visiting in week 5.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we lived in North Carolina for a long time, and it was Clemson, Duke, or North Carolina, Duke. I mean, it was over and over again, but you're right about basketball. They've dominated basketball forever.
Yeah, the basketball. So Clemson now, they have to regroup. They have talent. They have 50 plus, let's say 4-star and above players. Duke had, I think, 2. Most of their players are 3 stars and below. And so that was quite an upset. It certainly was, especially by 3 touchdowns. It wasn't a last-second field goal or an ending play that scored a touchdown. It was by 3 touchdowns. And there were a lot of quirky things that happened, some fumbles near the goal line by Clemson and missed field goals and blocked field goals. And but Duke earned that victory against the Clemson Tigers. So that was one of the interesting games outside the SEC. But in the SEC, you had the big teams. Alabama scored a lot of points in one. Auburn scored a lot of points in one. Tennessee beat Virginia of the ACC in Nashville at the neutral site, 49-13. Georgia won big. LSU, a slight upset there. They were a couple points favorite, Donna. Lost to Florida State University in Orlando. That was a Sunday night game. LSU was leading at halftime, 17-14. Close ball game like we thought. All of a sudden, 31 points later, they're down. And it ended up 45-24. Florida State, very impressive. Their quarterback, Jordan Travis. They have big receivers, Johnny Wilson at 6'7". And they have Keon Coleman at 6'4", transfer from Michigan State. He had over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns in his debut as a Florida State Seminole. Johnny Wilson, the 6'7" receiver, had over 100 yards as well. Running backs looked solid. The transfer, Bell, was a tight end from South Carolina. He carried the ball some. The defensive line was very aggressive and active. So impressive, Donna, I thought, was that defensive line for Florida State. That number 44 in the middle, he disrupted and blew up plays the entire ball game. So Florida State, they were aggressive on defense. The quarterback was on fire with his passes, accurate, making the right decisions, moving in the pocket. LSU's quarterback, Jaden Daniels, I thought played fairly well, but he was attacked in the backfield. I mean, they were just getting after him, the defensive line and the defense of Florida State. So he was on the move, and he needed some support. He can't play defense. They gave up 45 points on that side of the ball. So, Don, here's a funny thing. You know that LSU has lost the last 4 opening games?
What does that say?
That is really strange because, they're excellent program, but they played some tough teams. UCLA, Florida State a couple of times, and I forgot the other opener where they lost. I think it was Mississippi State upset them a few years back as well. So, yeah, you have to believe that they realize they're playing excellent teams to open the season, so they're motivated. But those other teams are very good as well. But they can recover. They'll probably have to run the table, I think, the rest of their ball games, but it can be done because there's plenty of talent at LSU offensively. Now, defense, they've got to make some changes. They've got to get better on that side of the football for sure.
Yeah, we've seen this happen season after season where someone appears gets an easy schedule to begin with, and then some folks get the harder schedule. In your opinion, which is best? Start out easier or start out harder?
I think I want my team motivated throughout the summer and the spring. I want to play a fairly good team. I want to play a fairly good team if I can. But my second option would be the second game being the tougher opponent. We have a warm-up game, iron out some of the kinks and the mistakes that we might make in a first game. So I would opt out for the second game, having a stronger opponent. But I don't mind having that first opponent be very strong.
Mm-hmm. I would think so too, because it keeps you rocking and rolling the rest of the season. But Andrea has a really good question. And Andrea's question is this: who actually chooses the teams are going to play? Who sets up the schedule?
Yeah, it's the director of athletics. He's the one in consultation probably with the head coach to try to figure out their schedule, because there is a strategy, as you just described, of getting your opponents and matching them up correctly during the course of the season, and how you want to have some balance in your schedule. Yeah, so that's the director of athletics to answer her question.
Well, I would think there's a lot to think about when you're choosing, because you've got to think about the strengths and the weaknesses of the players, and you've got to know the weaknesses as well as the strengths.
Right, you're trying to size up your roster, Donna. Like I said, in consultation with the coach, and he might say, well, look, we have a younger roster. It's leaning that direction. So we'd rather wait till the second or third game, if possible, till we play the strongest non-conference opponent before we get into the league play.
Mm-hmm. Rick wanted to know who your kicker of choice is this season.
Right. Yeah, you know how I am about kickers. I mean, Will Reichard's a good, solid kicker at Alabama. I would take Will. He's very good. There's some other ones that in the SEC, but Will's been there a long time now. He chose to come back. He could have left early to play pro ball probably, but I would take Will Reichard. It's his time now to shine.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of questions that have been sent about Alabama and Auburn. You know, we're in Alabama-Auburn territory right here, and Tennessee.
Yes.
But let's talk for a few minutes about Alabama and Auburn. And of course, it's hard to judge off of one football game, you know,
yes,
the very beginning of the whole thing. But how do you think those two stand with each other right now?
You know, I think both of them had good openers. Jalen Milroe was the choice of quarterback for Nick Saban. We know that he can run the football, and he showed his ability to throw the deep ball and be more accurate and make some better decisions at the quarterback position. So they scored 50 plus points, and that's what these teams should do, Donna, in their opening game if it's a non-Power 5 team. Score a lot of points and hold the other team to under double digits or just above double digits. So they scored the 56, and Middle Tennessee State University had 7. Auburn, I think, what was it, 59-10? Let me see, 59-14, I guess it was, against UMass. So their quarterback, Peyton Thorne, the transfer from Michigan State, he had a pretty good ball game. Robbie Ashford off the bench, he showed what he can do near the goal line, scoring a lot of touchdowns. So we're going to see that combination, I think. Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford near the goal line because he's so effective running the football. So Auburn was explosive offensively, and they played good defense.
Mm-hmm. I think they did too. How do you see them moving up in the ranks this year?
Yeah, Auburn, like I said, right now, before the season, my projection was in the 6-win range with an opportunity to move to 7 and 8. So we'll see how their defense progresses and their offense, and they have a chance to win some games over teams that might be favored. I think because of their dual quarterback system and Hugh Freeze, his teams are usually capable of scoring quite a few points. And in this era, Donna, you must score a lot of points. I mean, you can't have 14, 17 points and win a lot of ball games. You've got to get in the 30s to be in contention to win some of these ball games.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now we have Georgia. Everybody's talking about Georgia right now, and Tennessee.
Yes.
So let's talk about those two teams.
Yeah, Georgia 48-7. They had a new quarterback as well, Carson Beck.
Mm-hmm.
So they put 48 points on the board. Defense is strong as usual. So that was fine for them. Georgia's schedule is not as good as some of the other teams in the league. So, but that was fine for an opener. And then Tennessee, we know, played Virginia. That's a Power 5 school from the ACC, and they put the 40. What the Tennessee game was? What did they score there? 49-13. So Joe Milton III, everyone was wondering how he would perform as the starter again. This is his third year at Tennessee. So he threw for over 200 yards. I believe he had a couple of touchdowns running the football as well and a couple of touchdowns throwing. So Tennessee, they're off to a good start. And their next game is going to be against Austin Peay. So they should win that as well. But people are watching closely Joe Milton III, the leader of the team, as the quarterback, the 3-year veteran who's transferred from Michigan. So Tennessee, people are looking for them to be better on defense now, because offensively, Josh Heupel, he has the system. His teams are very capable of scoring a lot of points. So I don't think they're going to be short of scoring points this season with their set of receivers and running backs and tight ends, and Joe Milton III leading the team as the quarterback. Can they play enough defense to upset some teams?
Yeah. Were you surprised at the score?
I guess 49 against Virginia. I was thinking maybe 35, probably something like that. I thought they would win handily, but I didn't know that they would score 7 touchdowns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that was something else. That was really good. Let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break, and we will return in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for 2 or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year.
Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. AP Steadham is with us right now. I know he's your favorite. He's my favorite too. So he's been with us several years, and we're proud to have him. So AP, let's talk about AP and Kelly and the show that, what are you going to do? What happened last week and then versus this week?
Oh, yeah, Donnie, last week was a really special show because we had two legends that are in the Hall of Fame in the college and pro, and then they're Hall of Fame executives. We had the logo, Jerry West, who's built some championship teams with the Lakers and Golden State. He's president with the Los Angeles Clippers. So it was great to have Jerry West on, who's in the Hall of Fame in college and Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame and the College Basketball Hall of Fame and many more Halls of Fame. And then Ozzie Newsome, the Wizard of Oz, from up there in Colbert County, Alabama, the All-American at Alabama, in the College and Pro Football Halls of Fame and other Hall of Fames. I think between the two, they're almost in 20 Hall of Fames, Donna, if you can believe that. And they're, tremendous executives in basketball and football. So that was great to have them. Donna, they did not know each other. I introduced them live on radio to each other. And that was a fabulous moment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Two legends right there together. You're lucky to get those interviews. Yeah.
I suggest people listen to that because the knowledge that they have between them is unparalleled. We're not going to see those two type of individuals again because of the skill that they had on the field, in the basketball court, in the football field, and then Hall of Fame executives as well. You just don't see that type of player succeeding on all those levels. And then, Donna, this week we have some interesting guests. I can tell you, number one, I'll be at the Auburn, California game in Berkeley this Saturday. Mm-hmm. That's a night game. And one of our guests is Doug Parrish, who played at the University of California, defensive back. But interesting about Doug, he was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And then when he was 14 years old, moved to Madison, Wisconsin, ended up playing at University of California. So they're going to play Auburn for the very first time. Those two schools will get together. The the SEC Auburn Tigers and the Pac-12 California Bears. And then our other guest is Will Matthews. Will is the sideline reporter, former University of Texas player. He's the sideline reporter for the Texas radio network for the University of Texas games. And we know that's a huge ball game with Texas coming to Alabama. And they played last year. That was a 1-point ball game won by Alabama. But I tell everybody that, Donna, they have the kicker from Texas, last name Auburn. So if he's able to kick the winning field goal, it will read, the headlines will read, Auburn beats Alabama. That'll be the headline. Last year it could have been Auburn beats Alabama in Texas, but this year it would be Auburn beats Alabama in Alabama at Alabama.
If for no other reason,
that'll be a real good ball game. Really, Texas is vying to rekindle that program to national prominence, and Alabama with a new quarterback, and he's from Texas as well, Jalen Milroe, the Houston area. So big ball game there in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
I have a suggestion for Phil. Our wedding anniversary was this past weekend, but we are going to San Antonio, Texas. And I said, Don't wear your Alabama Crimson Tide shirts. Don't do it there.
I don't know. This may be the weekend to wear it, Donna. Being in Texas and Alabama and Texas are playing, I don't know.
It could be. We were in Tennessee once, and so my son was going to college, Tennessee. And so it was so funny. Of course, he's going to college in Tennessee. He bought shirts for us, Tennessee.
Yes.
And Phil said, I'm not wearing one of those nasty Tennessee shirts because I had to as my son. So I went on ahead and wore mine. So we went to a restaurant. We're walking outside the restaurant. And this guy stopped us and he said, you don't see that combination very often.
No.
Tennessee and Alabama. So that was now let's talk about Tennessee for a few minutes. And I love Tennessee. I'm glad to see them moving up the ranks. And there was a time, I don't know if this has happened to you, but there was a time when it was nothing but Auburn. I wouldn't even want to watch another game. I just don't. But when you get older, and you've helped me get into this mix, now I'm interested in all of them. I want to see
it's fun
too. It really is. So if you had to pick your top 5 this week, based on last week's.
This week,
who would you choose?
Yeah, this week, I think I'd take Georgia number 1. I think I would take Michigan number 2. I think Florida State is right in there. I saw them up close and personal, really beat up LSU ended up being, 45-24, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I think number 4, I put USC right now. USC number 4, I think.
Okay.
I think I would.
Right.
And number 5, we didn't mention Alabama yet, right? Alabama. I think probably Alabama, I guess, number 5. Yes.
Well, throughout the years, football teams actually go through cycles. There was a time when it was Clemson was everything, and now they seem to be down at the bottom. And of course, they can still emerge. You never know with football what's going to happen from week to week. Yeah. And the weather has a lot to do with it as well. Because we got some hot weather going on right now. And it has to be tough on the players as well. Yeah, do you think that really affects the outcome of the game that much?
Well, I think it might affect if you have a team later on in the season when it's still hot, maybe in the South, or even in the early part of the season, if you're taking a team, let's say from the West Coast, that has not played with this type of humidity, and they travel south. I think that could be an issue. I think because there's nothing like this humidity in the South, even though it gets hot in other places in the country. So, or you take a team that would travel to Arizona, for instance, or New Mexico, or somewhere where there's altitude involved, around Denver, something like that. But yeah, the weather can play a factor, and coaches, they're always anticipating any issue that might be needed to be addressed for the football team. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it back in the day, back in the 70s when I was growing up. You would see the guys slipping and sliding, and you're in the rain. I mean, I'm not saying we were tougher back then. I'm just saying you dealt with what you had.
Yeah, nowadays, Donna, they won't call the game unless if there's lightning. Of course, that's an immediate clear the field, clear the stadium. Uh, Snow, I've seen them play in snow and the rain and the cold. So really, any type of bad weather, it would have to include the lightning or some type of tornado or hurricane, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And hurricane season seems to be coming on a little bit stronger this year.
Right.
And you never know about the weather. We may not have another one. It just seems like they're happening a
Yeah.
little bit earlier this year than normal.
Yeah. They had some issues down in Florida. There was some wind down there when I was traveling down. I could see all the trees were uprooted and on the ground. So there was some significant wind down in Florida, but it held off. It was a couple of days before they played that LSU versus Florida State game in Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who is your Cinderella team at this point?
Yeah, Cinderella's team. That's a good question. I'm thinking, and we'll try to categorize this, Donna. We'll look at Cinderella as somebody being below, let's say, the top 10. So right now, I would say if I had to pick a Cinderella team just around the country, I'm thinking maybe a Penn State, maybe somebody like them.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you seen
Say that again, Donna.
Okay, so why would you choose Penn State?
Well, because they have yet to have much success against Michigan and Ohio State, two teams in their conference. So they have to clear those hurdles. Penn State's beaten, I think, Ohio State a time or two, but they have to be able to beat one of them or both of them in the same season to have a chance to compete for the national championship. So I'm saying I'm not sure they can do that. I'm thinking this year they've got a good chance. I believe I think they have a good chance maybe to beat Ohio State. I'm thinking right now.
Okay. Now, as a Cinderella team, could you see the Cinderella team as being someone who is just maybe overlooked at the beginning of the season, who really has potential and it's just kind of hidden at this point, and they just emerge and come out?
Right. I think we have to see a few more games because, Donna, I think that that's just the nature of the description. We're trying to find that Cinderella team, somebody really outside our view. I mean, they would have to be, let's say, ranked below 15 or something like that, or definitely below number 10 for me to consider it a Cinderella, because that's quite a jump to be 11, 12 through 15, and all of a sudden you're in the top 4 at the end of the season. You'll have to upset quite a few teams to reach that point. So, like I say, just my early initial preview of teams, Penn State, they have 2 good running backs, strong quarterback, new quarterback for them. And James Franklin's a good coach. He usually doesn't trip up and get upset. So if he can stay clean in those types of games and then have some upsets along the way, Ohio State, Michigan, he's got a chance. I think Florida State, surprising LSU this first game, beating them by 21 points, that was huge for them in the eyes of the potential college football selection committee voters. I think that was a big game because, Don, that's what we call a pendulum game. That's the ACC versus the SEC. So now this really kind of puts the SEC at a disadvantage slightly, because when you play LSU, you're, let's say, Alabama or Auburn or any other team, and you win that game, people are going to say, well, yeah, Florida State, they beat LSU by 3 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
So why didn't you beat them by 3 touchdowns?
We've got to go, but I wanted to say this. You know how to pick them because you're the one who said Tennessee would emerge, and they did. And so who knows? You just never really know. So,
No.
AP, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. And remember, right here on this station, AP and Kelly, as we see it. Now, you guys have to remember the rest of it, okay? AP and Kelly, as we see it. And that's Football Friday at 4 p.m. Central Time. AP, thank you again so much for being on the show today.
Hey, thank you, Donna. My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. We'll be back shortly with another awesome guest. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, another TV station coming up pretty soon, by the way. Can't tell you about it yet. Shh. But I will let you know just as soon as it's happened. It's going to be in North Alabama. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, good.
And so also you can find us on another television station called Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. They are syndicated, and I've heard that there are missionaries who are watching us on that one.
Oh,
Yeah, because they get to see what's happening at home.
yeah.
You know, home
great.
to Alabama. So we appreciate them doing that. Africa and just different places like that. We have our mayor with us, Chuck Abels, and he is a great mayor. And I'm saying that because you actually listen to us. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen
Yeah.
very often.
Yeah.
But
your app on my phone?
sometimes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. He may be at a meeting when no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I hardly ever aggravate him. But what I wanted to hardly ever aggravate him. It's just picking you, trying to find out what's going on. And he won't tell me. And this is another thing. He will hold a secret to the grave. He will do that. So there are things you can't tell us, things that are happening. And to a regular citizen like me, we're just like, well, when is this? But there are so many steps that have to happen. I mean, you can't just, like running a business, you can't just say, well, I'm waking up today, I'm deciding I'm going to expand into an area. It's not that easy. A lot of steps involved. And I found that out from John Merrill.
Yeah.
John Merrill used to be our Alabama Secretary of State and is a huge supporter of Mayor Abels here in DeKalb County. And so he was talking about DeKalb County, all the things he wants to see happen.
I'm a supporter of John Merrill, too. I really like him. And, I mean, the job he did as Secretary of State is just unbelievable. And, of course, the only reason he's not still there is because of term limits.
Yeah, term limit.
And, but, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but in his 2 terms there, he drastically reduced the number of employees in the Secretary of State's department. Told the state, leave us out of the budget. We'll take care of our own money.
It's running it like a business.
Yeah, and when he took office, the average turnaround on getting something done there, I mean, it was months, and it wasn't long till it was daily. I mean, it was done the same day, and I mean, it had been months. It take months to get
The
things
simplest
processed
things
through there. Yeah. And so he did it by reducing the cost.
Well, there were
just
less hurdles
increase-
to jump when he did
Yeah.
that.
And I think he's doing business at the speed of business or something like that. I mean, it was he really.
Well, he had other states getting in contact with
Oh,
him
absolutely.
after the election to find out why we had less fraud.
Yeah,
So he was traveling around to other states.
yeah, but I really like him, and he's been a good friend to me, and always been there to answer questions and help out with
But
things.
he loves small towns. You remember that time I told you he was coming into Geraldine?
Yeah,
And you didn't know it yet. And
Right.
I thought he'd already told you.
Yeah.
And I said, we need to get in sync with our time because he wants to see you too.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even in office yet. He's working with an engineering firm.
Yeah.
But he wanted to get with you and get your input on several things that potentially could happen to
And-
this area.
yeah, and he came, and I mean, he spent several hours just just talking about and riding around town and seeing about things and getting ideas on how he could help. And
He and I talked about this town. We talked about, I said, how it is when you have an issue with a big bank? You have to go through every chain of command, and you always have to start at the bottom when you have another question about an issue you might
Yeah.
have. Where that's fraud or whatever, somebody tried to get into your bank account or whatever. And I said, next time you come, and he's probably already been, I said, look, I want you to go to Liberty Bank. I can just call Nancy and answer the phone. We're going to chit chat just a little bit about personal stuff. And then she'll say, what's up? And I'll say, well, it was one time I thought somebody had gotten into my account.
Yeah.
And boy, they nipped that in the bud. I mean, she turned me right around to the next person. She put that other hat on
yeah,
and got it fixed. I didn't have to go through 20 people to get an issue resolved.
And again, I mean, and we're not just a single bank. I mean, it started here in 1971, but now they've got 6 or 7 branches and
growing.
Yeah.
Good steady growth.
Yeah. So it's 1971. It's been a little over 50 years. But and a few years ago they built a new building and used their old building to do bookkeeping for a while, and built a new building for that, and then of course donated their old building to the town. And
that's the kind of town we're in.
Yeah, I mean, donated it. I mean, they said, do what you want to with it, just no financial institution. I mean, so our U.S. Congressman Robert Adderholt's got us some money to fix it up for our clinic that is already in town, and I mean, I could talk about them for 2 hours.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
They saved my life when I had COVID.
And I've heard so many people say that. Absolutely. And this is great local people that are doing the clinic, and so we've actually applied for an additional grant through the state to do some more things, but we're going to get started on that real soon. And but Congressman Adderholt's been real good for us. I mean, we got sewer built here, because of his help. And I've got a little story that he shared a couple of weeks ago when I was in a meeting with him, and he was talking about the national debt, and I think it's 37 trillion or something like that. And he said, it's hard for some of us to really put in perspective how much $1 trillion is. And he said, I've had a friend that got me straightened out on it. He said, if you had lived a little over 2,000 years ago, and the day Jesus was born in Bethlehem, he said, if you'd gone down to the First Bank of Bethlehem and said, I think I'm going to start a savings account, and I'm going to put $1 million in here. And he said, and then the next day you thought, well, I think I'm going to put another $1 million in today. And third day, I'm going to put another $1 million in there and just watch this grow. He said, if you'd have put $1 million in that account every day from the time Jesus was born till now, you still wouldn't have $1 trillion. and
that's a good analogy right there.
And I still don't know how much it is, but it's got to be a lot. And we're in debt 37 of those. But he's.
But we're not in debt in this town.
No, we're not in debt in this town.
And not many towns. I'm going to say probably 99.9% of towns across the United States cannot say that.
Well, I get surveys from the League of Municipalities, and just things, because they provide a lot of information for us and help out, and they do surveys, so you can compare it to other towns your size and that kind of thing. And I've had them call and say, now, you said y'all are not in debt. What does that mean? I said, it means we don't know anything. and we've got, CDs in Liberty Bank. And we've got money in the checking account, and we buy all new police cars every year, and we, real up to date. We bought a new tractor and mower last year, and we spend a lot of money.
We're not in debt with police cars. How do you manage that?
Well, actually, by buying new ones every year on the state bid, we sell the old ones for more than the new ones cost. I mean, we made $12,000 last year just on buying new police cars and selling the old ones. Don't have maintenance on them, and
we don't want you to go anywhere, but you need to run for governor.
they've got good equipment to use, and don't have to worry about breakdowns. And
when you think about maintenance of a car, I mean, what that can cost if you've got a car that's 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, I mean, our maintenance budget for police cars is, it's like $1,000 a year for oil changes, and of course our maintenance guy that we've got that does everything does that too.
He's a jewel for the town.
Yeah, and he's recently been on vacation for a week, so I can verify what a jewel he is. And been long ago. It was one of those 95, 97-degree days. And he said, in case I hadn't mentioned it lately, he said, thanks for that new tractor with the cab and the air conditioning in it, you know. But he does all the mowing, does all the work on police cars and everything else that we need. And when we were working on our new budget, I had our clerk, and I could talk about her a long time too, but anyway, had her to check with other towns, you know, about salaries for different people, and you know, said, just find out how many maintenance people they got, what they pay them, you know. I mean, all the ones our size, I mean, had at least 2 or 3, and I've told him, you know, need help, you know, let me know. And he said, you know, I kind of like to just do it, but you know, we try to do what we have to do to keep him.
He knows what he's doing, though. He's seasoned in what he does, and that helps. I mean,
I mean, once a month I may tell him something to do, and you know, it's like, you know, somebody just calling a stop sign down or something. You know, most everything he knows it before I do, and gets it done before I know it needs doing. But he's good, and he is an assistant to keeping the town clean. Although our people do a good job with that as well.
Yeah, we're in a clean town.
Yeah, but it's a good place to be, and you know, we're always looking for new businesses. And you look at our, I'll have to say, our little bit out of date website. That's my fault, but we're going to work on that. But townofgeraldineal.com, and phone number is 256-659-2122. Got a almost brand new sewer system. Got gigabit speed internet.
That's big. That's a huge thing right there. The sewer system for a restaurant.
Oh, it got to have it. I mean, that's the first question they ask. You know, some other businesses, you know, want to know about your internet, but restaurants, I mean, I went through that, you know, trying to get them, and said, "Do you have sewer?" And I said, "Well, you know, we're working on that." Well, when you get it done, check back with me, and then we'll talk. You know, I don't have anything to say now. And so, I mean, and you know, and we've got some good restaurants here. I mean, for a little town, I mean, you know, we've got 7, I think. We've got a good Mexican restaurant. We've got a good barbecue restaurant. We've got a good Tickle Pink restaurant that does all kind of hamburgers and chicken fingers and paninis and pizza and just, you know, all
good
that.
Fresh food.
Then Subway and Pizza Hut, you know about those. Just, you know, it's a good place. The utilities are cooperative, so those rates stay reasonable, and got good people that'll work.
Because everybody knows your mother and your grandmother.
Yeah.
Well, that word gets around quick, brother.
And you know, I don't want this to sound wrong. I'm excited about our new principal at school. I don't mean to say I didn't like the other one. I liked him a lot as well, but he got a job at central office, and so they hired Robert Ritchie that had been principal before, been retired since 2012, I think. Been doing some college classes online, teaching some things like that, but he's back as principal, and
he's excited to be back in the saddle again.
He is. He really is, and you know, of course, I see him at the ball games and that kind of thing, and but he had, you know, kind of technically retired, but he's excited about it, and
some people just never retire.
Right.
My husband has retired 3 different times. Now he's running a business.
My sister Janie retired from teaching 3 times. I said, you failed at retirement.
I can't do it. Let's go into a commercial.
Okay.
Break. We'll be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there, okay?
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. We're about to be with another television station. We're really excited about that. I'll let you know something a little bit later. It's in Alabama, I'll tell you that much. And then also we're going to have another podcast coming up, and it will also be syndicated as well. So really happy about the syndication that's happening right now. And also MyPillow.
Yeah.
I got to meet Mike Lindell, and he was in Montgomery. Really nice guy. And so Marianne Cole was with me, and we were at the Republican dinner that we're having in Montgomery. And so I just walked up to him and I said, "You're one of my sponsors." And he said, "You are?" Because he's got thousands of sponsors. Yeah. And I said, "Here's my business card right here." So he has Lindell Television, so we're talking with them too.
Okay.
So we're really excited about that one. I could mention, but the other one I got to be about right now. So we have our mayor with us, Chuck Abels, and a fantastic mayor. Lots of things happening that you can't tell us about yet. So, and we understand that, and he will keep secrets, by the way, if you ever confide with him about anything. So you kept my little secret really going when I told you I was going to put on this radio station. I said, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know, but I just wanted to talk to you just for a few minutes. And by the way, this area with Mayor Abels is very business friendly. That's whether you're a bigger business or you're a small business, mom and pop.
Absolutely. And, get inquiries from time to time, about different things. And sometimes, it fits and sometimes it doesn't. But most of the time we can make adjustments and make things work out for most any kind of business. With all the things that we have going here, with the sewer and the internet and the utilities and all that. And I will say there's a pretty good chance that we're going to have something kind of special going on here in a few months. And
he's not going to tell me, so don't even try to come to me and get me to tell
I can't even tell you this one off air. But and I know you can keep a secret too, but I'm sworn to secrecy on this one. But it'll
part of it's
be
like you're
big
running
for us.
it like a business, for goodness sakes.
Yeah,
and that's what you like about a mayor who's going to run your town like a business.
Yeah, and just mentioned during the break. We don't owe anybody anything.
That's a good feeling.
And we buy new police cars every year. And like I said, we actually sold the other that were 1 year old, sold them for more than we paid for the new ones, and so we don't have maintenance. But we do all the time looking for grants and things to help out with that, and get a lot of help from our state representative Jenny Shaver's real good.
Jenny was on the show last week, and she mentioned your name as well.
She's good, and she worked as a town clerk and worked in the mayor's office, and
she knows what it's about.
Knows what we need, and of course her husband's sheriff in Cherokee County, so she's done a real good job as representative.
Yeah, she and I have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Both our dads were ministers. We were preachers' kids, preachers' daughters. She was a boring preacher's daughter like I was. Loves animals. And so she brought this up when she was here the other day. And also Second Chance Animal Shelter. One of my friends and his wife own that as well. And so they're talking about it's not so bad in this area, but for people who keep their dogs chained up. And so Jen and I were talking about that, if something could be done about that. Some people just keep them chained, and I think that's cruel.
Oh, it is, and I hear Rick and Bubba talking about that sometimes.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it's just awful.
Do you know Rick and I are from the same neighborhood?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a lot older than him. Only about a year or so. No, a lot older than that. He grew up in Cheehaw Acres number 1. I grew up in Cheehaw Acres number 2.
I went to his house there when his dad and I worked together, and I went to their house, to his dad's house where he grew up, but went there to their house a couple of times. But
we had flooding issues in that area.
Yeah.
I mean, real bad. It would just barely sprinkle, and so you'd have to walk home instead of driving your car through it if you were working.
And I've been meaning to tell you something that you'd been telling me all this time, and I believed you, but I had somebody come by the other day wanting to look at some of my old yearbooks and get the principles, and was doing something about that. I've got quite a few, so we had one out and was looking through it, and I saw in there you were voted quietest in your senior class. I won't say I didn't believe it, but when I saw it in print, I thought, well, okay.
And the only time I'm really alive is when I'm on the air, because Phil tells everybody, some of his buddies have said, I bet you don't get a word in edgewise at home. And he'll say, no, actually, she's quiet.
Yeah.
She's pretty quiet at the house, too. There's just, I was quietest. Nobody was shocked. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
And that I went to school with. I know them, they just don't know me.
Yeah.
Because I was really that quiet.
Well, and, we've talked about, we both had a real good English teacher, Miss Ritchie.
Oh, I love Miss Ritchie. Now, at the time, I didn't.
Right. Oh, I didn't either.
But I have really, really come to appreciate her.
I mean, we had to stand up in front of the class and
she didn't care if you were the quietest one in class.
That's right. And give book reports or, and
well, she had that red ink pen. You remember what that red ink pen was about? And she'd look at you with her glasses were down like this, and she'd just look at you like that, and it was intimidating. I mean, it really was. But you know something? I think she's the reason I do what I do. I wasn't somebody that liked to be out in public and do stuff like that. And
and and she also made me learn to memorize. And I've over the years I've memorized some poems and things like that I've had an opportunity to share, publicly, that some things that really meant a lot to me that I've been able to share in church or somewhere like that because of her.
Well, she planted those seeds in our heads.
Yeah.
I mean, she really did. She was just a fantastic teacher. Again, at the time, I didn't think so much. And so she would call me, if she ever called you Miss whatever your last name was, you were usually in trouble.
Yeah.
So I had represented the school in the math contest, and I didn't want to win. Dr. Runyon was the teacher. I didn't want to win. I said, let somebody else win. And it was a contest where you would, your multiplications and your additions and what have you. And it was the one who did it the fastest. And so I got to represent the school, and I begged Dr. Runyon to choose the second person. I said, let them go. I don't want to. I can't do it. He made me anyway. So he's another reason I think I was able to do that. And then the typing contest.
Yeah.
And so I won that one year, got to represent the school in that. But I did not want to win. So Miss Ritchie says, Mrs. Shears, I'm walking down the hall. Mrs. Shears, come into my class. And I'm like, I don't know what I could have done. I'm the boringest person in school. So I come in. She said, I want to know why you represented the math contest, and I want to know why you represented the typing contest. You're not representing anything in here. And I said, you're going to make me get up in front of everybody. And she said, you need to. You need to. You can do it. So in her way, she gave me the confidence.
Yeah. Both my parents were teachers, and
you had to have it rough if your parent was a teacher at a school.
Oh, I mean, he was my teacher.
Oh, did he make an example out of you?
Yeah. But you know what? He was my math teacher, but he made sure that I did my homework every night, and math's a lot easier if you stay up and don't get behind. And English or something. I mean, if you're supposed to be reading a book, you can get the Cliff Notes or something and get by. But math, you kind of need to keep up. It kind of adds as you go, and but and I'm real thankful for my parents and getting to have them. And
we've got about a minute left here, so I want you to, because your family is from this area, and that gives you quite a few step ups on being the mayor here, I think.
Well, I get asked, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be the mayor? And my answer has become, my grandchildren are the 5th generation of my family to go to school here, and just, feel like I need to help try to leave it a little better than it has been. And it's great already, but my grandparents graduated here in 1925, almost 100 years ago, and now my grandkids are about through. My youngest was in 11th grade, but I've got a lot of respect for the people that have done things here. One of my grandparents, my granddad, did a lot to start things. He, was real community involved, and of course my parents were as well, and wasn't really something I planned to do. It just kind of fell in line, but I enjoyed lots. My 3rd term here, and served on the council 3 terms before that, but just means a lot to me to have a part in making things a little better.
We're glad you're serving. We definitely appreciate it. And we appreciate you for watching The Edge on IC Radio as well. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll be back in a few minutes with another awesome guest like this one.
We are a bank for the citizens of our communities that we operate in, and we operate with a degree of trust that everyone hopes that they can find in their banking organization.